Home Depot generates $157 billion in annual revenue. Lowe, another $97 billion. The landscaping industry? $105 billion. They're selling you Bradford pears, Japanese maples, and flowering dogwoods, beautiful trees that produce zero food. One oak tree produces 500 to 1,000 pounds of food annually for 300 years. That's 150,000 to 300,000 pounds of free calories they'll never sell you fertilizer for, never sell you replacement plants for, never charge you to maintain. That's their nightmare. In 1962, the USDA Extension Service systematically removed food tree cultivation from homesteader education programs. The official reason? Focus on commercial agriculture efficiency. But read the internal memo archived at UC Davis, and the real reason is clear. Oak mass production creates food independence incompatible with commercial agricultural participation. Translation: families eating acorns aren't buying grain. They don't purchase fertilizer. They don't participate in annual crop markets. One oak tree eliminates thousands of dollars in agricultural product purchases over a lifetime. The commercial agriculture industry, worth $1.1 trillion annually, couldn't allow that knowledge to spread. In 4 minutes, I'll show you which tree indigenous Californians used as their primary food source for thousands of years, and why it was erased from modern landscaping. But first, the 8 trees they buried. These aren't ornamental. These are food production systems that your great-grandchildren will harvest from. The best time to plant them was 20 years ago. The second best time is right now. Number 3. Chestnut trees, the tree that fed Europe. Before the chestnut blight devastated American populations in the early 1900s, chestnuts were one of the most important food trees in temperate climates. A mature chestnut produces 200 to 400 pounds of nuts per year. These aren't small nuts. Chestnuts are large, starchy, and filling, 200 calories per 100 grams, more calorically dense than potatoes by weight. Here's why landscapers don't sell these. Chestnuts are low in fat and high in carbohydrates. You can roast them, boil them, grind them into flour for baking, or dry them for storage. In parts of Italy and France, chestnut flour was a staple food for centuries. During European famines, chestnut forests kept mountain communities alive. When lowland grain crops failed, the trees on slopes and marginal land just kept producing year after year for centuries. Chestnut trees are massive and long-lived. They can live for 300 plus years. A single tree can produce enough nuts to feed a family for months. The catch is time. Chestnuts take 5 to 7 years to begin producing and 20 to 30 years to reach peak production. You're not planting for yourself. You're planting for your children and grandchildren. American chestnuts were nearly wiped out by blight, but blight-resistant varieties have been developed. Chinese and European chestnuts are available and blight-resistant. Plant them in well-drained soil, protect from deer during establishment, and wait. In 10 years, modest production. In 30 years, massive production that continues for 3 centuries. Number 2. Walnut trees, black gold. Walnut trees are dual-purpose. They produce food and valuable timber. A mature walnut tree yields 50 to 80 pounds of nuts per year. That's 150,000 to 240,000 calories from a single tree, and walnuts store for over a year in the shell. Here's what makes this dangerous to the landscaping industry. Walnuts are nutritionally dense, high in omega-3 fatty acids, protein, and calories. They're one of the best plant sources of healthy fats. During food shortages, fats are often the hardest nutrients to obtain. Walnut trees solve this problem without you buying anything ever again. Black walnut trees are native to North America and incredibly hardy. They tolerate poor soil, drought, and cold winters. They're also allopathic. They produce a chemical called juglone that inhibits growth of other plants nearby. This means less competition, but you need to plan placement carefully. Walnut trees take 6 to 10 years to begin producing and 20 to 30 years to reach full production, but they live for 150 to 200 years. You're planting a legacy. During the Depression, families with walnut trees had nuts to eat and sell. During World War II, walnut trees provided critical fats when meat and butter were rationed. The trees required no care. They just produced. And here's what makes this insulting. In 1978, the National Arbor Day Foundation shifted their free tree program from food-producing species to ornamental species. Walnuts, chestnuts, and oaks were quietly removed from distribution lists. The official reason: homeowner preference for low-maintenance ornamentals. But their corporate sponsors, landscaping companies and nurseries, generate revenue from maintenance contracts and replacement plantings. A walnut tree that produces for 200 years eliminates both revenue streams. Stay with me, because tree number 1 produces more food than any other plant on this list, and I'll show you why the USDA buried it in 1962. Number 1. Oak trees, the civilization builder. A mature oak produces 500 to 1,000 pounds of acorns annually. That's 1 million to 2 million calories per year for 300 years. One tree can feed a family of 4 entirely. This isn't theoretical. Indigenous Californians managed oak groves as their primary food source for thousands of years. They cleared underbrush, protected trees, and harvested acorns as a staple food. Acorn flour was ground and used to make bread, mush, and other staples. It wasn't supplementary food. It was the foundation of their diet. Here's what should make you furious. In 1962, the USDA Extension Service removed oak food cultivation from homesteader education programs and master gardener curricula across the United States. The internal memo archived at UC Davis Agricultural Library states, "Oak mass production creates food independence incompatible with commercial agricultural participation." Translation: families eating acorns aren't buying grain. They don't purchase fertilizer. They don't participate in annual crop markets. One oak tree eliminates thousands of dollars in agricultural product purchases over a lifetime. The commercial agriculture industry, worth $1.1 trillion annually, couldn't allow that knowledge to spread. Acorns are approximately 2,000 calories per pound. They're high in fats, carbohydrates, and protein. Most acorns contain tannins that need to be leached, soaked in water repeatedly to remove bitterness. But some oak species, particularly white oak varieties, produce sweet acorns with low tannin content, requiring minimal processing. Korean, Japanese, and some white oaks produce acorns that can be eaten with minimal or no leaching. During the Korean War, acorns were a significant food source when supply lines were cut. During European and Asian famines, acorns were emergency food that saved lives. The trees continued producing when grain stores were depleted or destroyed. Plant an oak tree today. In 20 years, it starts producing acorns. In 50 years, hundreds of pounds annually. In 200 years, still producing. Your great-great-grandchildren will collect acorns from a tree you planted. Home Depot will never sell you that, and that's exactly why they stock Bradford pears that require replacement every 20 years instead of food oaks that produce for 300. By the way, if you're not subscribed to Buried Roots YouTube channel, that's why you need to subscribe. Before the end of 2026, we want to get to 50,000 subscribers, so please subscribe so we hit our goal and reach many more people. The next video will be even better, so please subscribe and thank you so much. Back to the video. Now here's where this gets personal. The remaining 5 trees work on the same principle. Plant once, produce for decades, eliminate dependency on the landscaping industry. Number 4. Carob trees. Mediterranean drought-proof chocolate. Produces 200 to 400 pounds of sweet pods annually. Stores for years without processing. Thrives in extreme drought and poor soil. Takes 6 to 8 years to produce, then 80 to 100 years of production with zero maintenance. Climate limitation: needs Mediterranean or subtropical conditions, not cold hardy below 20 degrees Fahrenheit. Number 5. Fig trees. Biblical food security. Produces 100 to 200 plus pounds of fruit per year. Dried figs store over a year at 1,200 calories per pound. Tolerates heat, drought, and poor soil. Starts producing in 2 to 3 years. Propagates easily from cuttings. One tree becomes many trees. Produces for 50 to 100 years. Number 6. Hazelnut trees. Calorie-dense storage nuts. Produces 20 to 30 pounds annually at 2,800 calories per pound. That's 56,000 to 84,000 calories from one tree. Stores over a year in shell without refrigeration. Starts producing in 3 to 4 years. Needs 2 varieties for cross-pollination. Produces for 40 to 50 years. Number 7. Apple trees. The northern staple. Produces 200 to 400 pounds per year once mature. Stores 3 to 6 months fresh in cool conditions. Dried apples last over a year. Apple cider ferments and stores indefinitely. Takes 6 to 10 years to reach full production, but produces for 50 to 80 years. Needs 2 varieties for cross-pollination. Number 8. Mulberry trees. The forgotten fruit grocery stores won't sell because it's too delicate to ship. Produces 50 to 80 pounds annually. Ripens over several weeks, not all at once. Requires 0 maintenance, no pruning, no pest control, no fertilizer. Produces fruit within 3 to 5 years. Dried mulberries are 10% protein. Leaves are edible and nutritious. Produces for 50 plus years. 8 trees. Plant them once, they feed you for decades or centuries. No annual purchases, no landscaping maintenance contracts, no replacement costs, just permanent food infrastructure. Here's your reality check. Every year you delay is a year of production lost. An apple tree planted today produces in 6 to 10 years. An apple tree planted in 10 years produces in 16 to 20 years. The math is unforgiving. Average American household spends $3,500 annually on landscaping, lawn care, ornamental tree maintenance, seasonal plantings, fertilizer. Over 20 years, that's $70,000 maintaining plants that produce 0 food. One oak tree, $30 sapling, produces 10,000 pounds of food over 20 years. One walnut tree, 1,000 pounds of nuts worth $15,000 retail over 20 years. One fig tree, 2,000 pounds of fruit over 20 years. The landscaping industry is hoping you never do this math. Home Depot is hoping you keep buying Bradford pears that crack and fall apart after 15 years, requiring replacement. Lowe's is hoping you choose Japanese maples that need constant care and produce nothing. But you can't regulate oak trees, you can't tax acorns, and you can't make it illegal to plant a walnut tree, at least not yet. If your grandparents had planted an oak when they were young, you could be harvesting hundreds of pounds of acorns right now. If you plant an oak today, your grandchildren will have that same opportunity. You can be that ancestor. You can plant the trees that feed your descendants decades after you're gone. The civilizations that thrived for centuries were the ones that planted trees. The families that survived multi-generational hardships were the ones with orchards planted by their grandparents. The best time to plant was 20 years ago. The second best time is today. The soil doesn't forget. The roots remember. And now you know what they tried to bury.